I can only come at it from my own lens.
I know.
I'm
your
not a
lens
fan.
is blurred and has dust all over it.
Well, maybe so.
So maybe you get a little towel, a little terry cloth. No.
Then I shouldn't even have seen the movie then.
No, probably not.
So we have this phrase where we say, go watch the movie and then come talk about it with us. This is the Untitled Film Project Podcast, and today we're talking about Godzilla x Kong, the new empire. Ancient Titans, Godzilla, and Kong engage in a monumental showdown while humans delve into their shared origins and the enigmatic secrets of Skull Island.
The last time those two met up, it was almost the end of Kong.
They don't have to like each other. They just have to work together.
We also have a big question on this episode. So if you didn't see Godzilla x Kong, the new empire, you can fast forward to the end of this episode where we have the big question like we do every episode. Jim, what is it?
Tell us the movie that you loved, but it seemed like the rest of the world just passed it by.
These big questions are meant to get you talking, even if you haven't seen the movie. As Jim said at the top of the show, our tagline is go watch, then come listen. Well, if you haven't watched, you still can find value in the show by going to the big question.
Gover, I'm very curious. Because during our pre-conversations, sometimes I get an inkling. I get a feeling.
Yep.
I just have a wonder where it's going to go. And
How's Gover's review going to go?
This film didn't need actors. When your main protagonists and antagonists are all CGI based and your world is all CGI based, don't even cast actors. Just make it a cartoon and be done with it. That is my initial take.
Bradford.
Okay, this is no Godzilla -1, which is elite Godzilla.
Don't laugh.
No,
I take it seriously.
have you seen Godzilla -1?
Yes.
Okay, that
It
is
won
elite.
Oscars.
I know.
Yes.
It
I
is
know.
by which
They're-
all Godzilla movies, in my mind,
Yes, should
are
be
to be
compared,
measured.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're very different spectrums of Godzilla
Yes,
as well too. This is the
for
whole.
sure.
This is the monarch version of Godzilla because we've been seeing this with Skull Island, with Godzilla vs Kong, and where they fight Mecha Godzilla, and then this one here.
Yep.
All I wanted was more fighting kaiju. That's all I wanted. Because,
Really?
Well, hold on.
Okay. All right.
Because Godzilla vs Kong did not have enough fighting kaiju until the end. It was all built up and way too much human.
It's called the climactic endings.
No, it was called too slow of a buildup.
Oh, okay.
Is what it was.
Right. It was an awfully long walk for a very
long.
small drink.
Very long. And then in this one, right off the bat, we have Diddy Kong effing things up. And then he comes.
I can't believe I didn't think of that reference.
And then he comes around to Papa, thanks to them eating guts together.
Oh, so fun.
And stands up for him, and
Family
it's like,
that
you know
eats
what?
intestines together,
You know
yes.
what, donkey? I will totally get in that minecart with you.
Right.
That was the main basis. No, all I want is more fighting kaiju. I think that was the people overall. I think were okay with Godzilla vs Kong, but the main thing I heard from people is they want more fighting. This is supposed to be fighting monsters, destroying stuff. That's what they want. If you're gonna have big budget with computer backing graphics behind this, give us lots of fighting kaiju. We don't need plot. We don't need humans messing up and mucking up everything and having to save the world too. Give us Kong and Godzilla fighting a bunch of other monsters. That's all we want. This gave me way more of that. And that's why overall I have a more positive review of this than I did Godzilla vs. Kong, because there's a lot more action. And there are plenty of scenes where, yes, they're CGI, but you have the apes talking to each other without any actual dialogue. You have communication, there's actual plot and story and character building amongst the monsters.
World building.
Yes. I'm fine. I'm good with that because you're basing it on the monsters. The monsters should be the centerpiece of these films and not those human characters because they're overall forgettable. We've had Millie Bobby Brown in this franchise for 2 of the movies.
Yeah,
We've had multiple
Bryan Cranston.
We've had multiple pretty decent names in these, but their parts are forgettable because the main focus is supposed to be on the monsters. This one finally gave us lots of monsters with a little bit of humor in it as well. And yes, I'm comparing. What?
Yeah.
What? Godzilla sleeping in the Colosseum's not funny? That's hilarious. And then he goes
Just a little bit of humor.
A little bit. There are plenty of moments where I'm like, that were meant to be funny because they used humor in a more balanced manner of things were supposed to be funny. So I'm not. Again, this is like what I say with Ghostbusters and so many other films like this. All I needed to do was be entertained with monsters fighting. That's all I want out of this. I didn't need incredible dialogue. I didn't need amazing cinematography. I didn't need that like what I crave from other films. I just wanted big monsters bashing each other. And overall, I got that. So I left that out of the Dolby Cinema where you can feel the monsters fighting. I left it more positively than negatively than what I thought I might have.
Well, then good for you.
This is going to be the only serious critique I make for the rest of this episode. Okay? This felt more like something at an amusement park or something you'd pay a little extra for above your amusement park prices to go in and experience. And then you kind of forget about it very quickly after that. It was done well at what it was supposed to do, which is just fight and do those things. So if that's all you want, and you don't want any of the things that make Godzilla -1 a human story, fantastic. If you were bored by that, well, you'll love Godzilla X Kong.
Well, you haven't been on the Universal King Kong ride because it's bad. Because that's what a ride one is the one at Universal.
Yeah. This is it's better than the ride. Are they happy with that?
It's gonna make some money. That's what they're happy about.
That I know.
That's what they're happy about.
It doesn't matter to me.
That's what these are for. To make money.
Not an accountant. I'm a movie reviewer. I don't care if it made $1 billion. If it still sucks,
Then it sucks.
Obviously, a little more negative from the two of you in terms of enjoyment factor as well. What would have made it more enjoyable to you? Is there anything this movie could have done to make you walk out going, you know what, I actually did enjoy that experience? Or was it just kind of dead from the get-go because of the kind of movie it was set up to be?
I feel like I've left the theater about 4 hours ago. I feel like I'm still hearing exposition.
A lot of explaining.
A lot. Like,
You felt like there was too much exposition?
way too much.
Boy, you've seen Godzilla vs. Kong, right? You
Yes.
saw the one before this one where
Yeah.
it was just
Not stellar, but definitely better than this one.
How are we so 180 opposite on this? That's
I love
all
this.
Godzilla vs. Kong was humans talking.
All you have to do is you just talk it out. Tell each other why. Apparently, you hate when humans talk.
In this movie, I just want
them
monsters fighting.
And Gover, you seem to prefer
I want a little more substance in my kaiju movie.
little meat on the bone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Less guts.
Spoiler. They've done finally actually a good job of not spoiling this kaiju being released. Did you like it when Mothra appeared?
No.
Did it mean anything?
No.
Okay, so we can clearly see I am the Godzilla Kong fan here.
Well,
And that's fine.
before we get to, I believe,
Nothing?
your
I knew
apology
what it
for the
was.
movie.
Nothing.
No.
At all.
No.
So seeing more than just 3 kaijus didn't excite you a little bit for
So
this?
here's the deal. First of all, we've seen that before. We saw Mechagodzilla was a kaiju.
No, that was a human made.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying it was still 3. So I thought there was going to be 3.
6.
Oh, so double that. Okay, fine. So then here's the issue with the Mothra, okay? Is that it seemed like, how do we up the stakes from Godzilla, who's always been in his movies together, a solo, and Kong, who's always been in his movies solo. We put them together. And that's pretty cool, right? It's kind of like a heavyweight boxing matchup. It's like, oh, finally going to see Tyson Holyfield or whatever.
Right.
Right? Then they go Mechagodzilla, and it's the third one, and they're like, okay, we've introduced this man-made thing. It's going to go against them, and that's going to be kind of this battle royale. And now all of a sudden they're like, how do we outdo that? Let's just invite the whole party.
That's what people wanted.
No,
Yes.
that's stupid.
No, okay. When they teased, there's still. And here's the thing.
It was like
still,
discovering new Pokemon
there
every
were
few
not,
minutes.
and there were still not enough kaiju. From what I think,
Still
more
not
fans want.
enough.
Dude, I need you to just read the room of people what people wanted in the movie. When they teased all these different kaiju being activated because of Godzilla and Kong fighting and everything like that, they teased all these different names.
Yes.
So we're like, let's see more. Let's see more than just We want to see these actual kaiju that you've been teasing for years now.
It felt like desperation.
No, they were doing fan service in this. You're making me try to defend a movie that I don't think is stellar. Like, I'm defending something, and I was just entertained.
You're being put in a spot. Yeah,
because I was just entertained. I'm not
being entertained is fine.
Yes.
No one's complaining about that. To each their own.
What fans of this franchise wanted was more kaiju.
I can only come at it from my own lens.
I know.
I'm
your
not
lens is blurred and has dust all over it.
Well, maybe so.
So maybe you get a little towel, a little terry cloth. No.
Then I shouldn't even have seen the movie then.
No, probably not.
Then you're saying that the production company and the movie companies should have said, the studio should have been like...
Should have said, we don't give a about Gover.
No, they should have said, only fans need a plot.
No.
Because that's what you're basically saying.
OnlyFans cost money.
Nice. OnlyFans.
I walked into that.
Yeah, you totally
I walked into that.
No, what I'm saying is, I think they actually listened to people that do go to these movies and wanting to see kaiju. That's what I'm saying. They actually listened. Did they overall do it exactly the way it should have been done? Not necessarily. It's not perfect, and there's no way this is going to be a perfect movie.
Right.
Godzilla Minus One is a near perfect Godzilla-type movie.
Yes.
It is a really good film. I don't know how it matches up with everything else.
Sure.
It's the best.
But in this series of films, the way they set it up, which is they're putting a main focus on battles and kaiju and showing them and making them come to life, what have been teased in the Japanese-based ones, teased in comics, and so many other ways. People wanted to see kaiju because they were teased. This gave that way more than the previous ones have. So I'm not trying to disagree with you. I'm just saying they actually listen to fans when a lot of times production companies don't listen to the fans.
Fans are wrong a lot of times, and
They are wrong a lot of times.
Let me bring, perhaps I can bring you guys together.
Good, because I can argue about this all day.
Because I didn't really decide to review this thing as a reviewer. I decided to review it as their target age demographic.
Okay.
So I reviewed it as Jim, the 16-year-old boy.
It was like so cool. So like since the last movie, they've got like the inside Hollow Earth part. What happens is King Kong stays there, and then everywhere that's not there, Godzilla stays, and they stay apart so that they don't fight. But then sometimes, Godzilla curls up and takes a nap in historic landmarks at like the Coliseum. But then like he wakes up, and then all of a sudden King Kong realizes something's going on, but everybody's bullying him down there in like the Hollow Earth part, man. Like every animal hates him, like whatever he did, they just all want to kill him. And it's law of the jungle. There's some kind of distress call coming from the middle of the earth about a different big titan that was going to come and be really bad. So what all the other ones had to do was gather, and then so they could fight and take down the bad. And then, but they just keep, like, when they encounter each other, they fight each other first before they kind of like group up. There's like all these different fights going on between all these different titans, and then they're like, I don't know, they were just kept fighting until then, man, like everybody was happy, and they're like, good, I think we just did it. We fought off whatever that thing was. And like the daughter, the girl that they got from the island that the lady kind of adopted, mother's like, you're gonna want to stay here and I'll support you. But then the daughters went like, no, it's like you and me, we go together everywhere. And they were happy, and then the movie ended.
I'll go back to it, man. To each his own. If you loved it, you loved it. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not saying I loved it either. That's what's crazy.
My 16-year-old self loved it.
You were entertained, you said.
Yeah.
Okay. You were entertained. I've been entertained by movies that are not good either. Plane comes to mind. Okay. I'm just saying that this was, it looked like, it had all the hallmarks of a desperation money grab. Millie Bobby Brown's not in it. They couldn't wait for her. So then they just hurried the story along with whatever actors they could get that were originally in the other ones. And then there's too many kaijus because you can always have
Too many?
Yes.
There was a
How
lot
are you
of them.
It's so watered down, dude.
They were tripping over new ones.
It's unreal.
If the complaint is too many kaijus,
What are they going to do next film?
they'll figure it out. Or make more money. That's what they'll do.
No.
I think it's hilarious how serious you take your hate on it.
I think there was more kaijus in this movie than there were fans in the Taylor Eras Tour movie. It was like at least 90,000 people.
Okay, listen, boomers.
90,000
Boomers?
kaiju.
Because you obviously think that 5 or 6 is double digits. With how
Dude,
many
you're a
there are.
storyteller. When you write a story, how many quotes do you get? How many different people do you talk to? It's not 16, it's like 4 because you can't dilute the audience. You have to focus the audience. Godzilla,
It's a monster movie.
Godzilla, Kong, and then a third one is totally fine. Maybe a fourth one is a surprise.
Right.
Not 6 kaiju. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
And then his like foster kid.
Where do you think the exposition came from? Because they had to explain all these kaiju.
There was hardly any exposition.
Oh my! From the halfway point on, it was all. She walks into that temple of the Iwu or whatever Iwi. Thank you. Yeah, no disrespect to the Iwi. And then she walks in, and she's all of a sudden reading this ancient language and telling the audience all about what has to happen
For a minute and a half.
Well, it seemed like 5 minutes, and then
if you had him up, it
and
might
then
have
she
been a bit.
leaves or whatever. The scene jumps to another world. And then it comes back, and then there's more explanation. And then they go to another world, and there's even more. It's unreal.
Gover is the reason why people don't like critics.
There was
That you are the reason why people don't like when critics review these kinds of movies.
you know where they lost me is when they because last movie we discovered the hollow world, right? The hollow
Earth.
inner center of this big piece of candy we call Earth, okay? And so, and that's where they go at the end of the movie. And then, but in this movie, there's some time above ground and there's some time in the hollow Earth part. But when they're searching the hollow Earth and they go, oh, wait, we've discovered a hollow Earth inside the hollow Earth. What? I'm
not focused on the plot.
Are you infinitely going to the center of a sphere?
I don't care. Okay, you want to know my nitpickiness? They did spend too much time in Hollow Earth. They needed to have more destruction in the cities.
Yes.
They demolished the pyramids of Giza.
And part of Rio.
Yes.
But I needed more.
I would have liked that a little better.
Okay,
when it's all
what
CGI.
do you want out of a Godzilla
Earth?
Kong movie, Gover?
A story. That's what I
You're
want.
not gonna get one in this. How do we have to discuss that so much? You wanted a story. Out of all this franchise, there's never been a story. There's never a story aside from very loose telling with Millie Bobby Brown and the relationship with her parents.
And that makes
That's
it
about
okay? Or
Yes, for this franchise, it does. No. It does not need a plot.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. I don't care. Show me cool ways for these monsters to fight and destroy crap.
Your mentality is a very porn mentality. It doesn't matter if there's a plot. It's just show me the goods.
Show up with a pizza box for a
Guys
second.
coming through the
Thank
door.
you.
No, because I'm putting in perspective of what the expectations are when I came into this. And that's to be entertained. Why would I want a deep, dark story on this?
Because it's good. It makes it more enjoyable.
It doesn't have to be good cinema.
Oh my
to
goodness.
be enjoyable. Godzilla -1 surprised so much because they were able to mesh the two together. That's a different world.
Because there was a story. That was amazing.
And that's a different world. If this franchise all of a sudden took
This
that
is a
turn,
storyless world.
was not going to be successful.
Once they go Hollow Earth, they lose me. One, it just looks like a cutscene from a video game, right? For the whole
Donkey Kong
till the
Country.
end of the movie,
I'm
right?
pretty sure it's the other side of the quantum realm, actually.
Yeah, the quantum realm, exactly. And then once it's all CGI and there's just 100 Pokemon showing up every we found another one. Here's a different kind.
Okay, again, I was trying to go
We're gonna
through.
fight, and then we're gonna just not fight.
We have Kong.
and then
We have
team
Kong.
up.
We have Godzilla.
Yes.
We have Baby Kong. We have Shimo. Okay, then we have Tiamat, and then we have Mothra. That's it.
Okay, what about all those?
Tiamat barely was in it. It was a quick battle scene where Godzilla goes and kills us so we can absorb all the nuclear energy in the Arctic.
Power
That's
up.
it. It was a power up. It was like eating the mushroom. That's all it did. Just barely even on screen. There's no reason to even describe that, okay? Mothra served its mini purpose.
exactly my point.
And everything else. Shimo didn't need character development because it's being controlled by Scar King. Like, it's very simple and basic, and yeah, it's like a video game, but what else? How is it too much?
There was about 400 of those hyena-looking things that eventually Kong and his, like, little brother or stepson share the inside guts of. And those things were nearly as big. When he held it over his head, like it was nearly the length of his body. It's giant. Those count. Those are like 400 of those things. They were coming from all
Jim,
directions.
no.
I would
Those
also
don't
count
count.
Scar
Those are just
King,
a
by the
wild
way,
animal.
because Scar King was
I did say Scar King if you were listening to me.
I didn't actually, sorry. I was too, actually, honestly.
You were thinking of the next thing you were going to say instead of listening to me.
No, honestly, this is just real talk. Honestly, I got thrown off by you saying Diddy Kong was one of the 6. So I kind of forgot at that point.
All right, it's time for scores for Godzilla X Kong, the Frozen Empire. This has just been pure joy. Like, I don't get paid enough. I don't get paid at all to witness this.
We're a not-profit.
So I have to get my enjoyment from the bickering between these guys.
If you'd have asked me to predict which episode this year, it would not have been this one.
I knew it was coming from when I sat at the dining room table.
All right, Gover, I think you owe us your score first.
All right, this movie should have been called Kong Needs a Dentist. And I'm not sure.
There was a little bit of Yukon Cornelius in there.
No, I didn't even think that's true. Is it possible for me to have been this bored with that many scene changes? Because it was like every, I don't know what, 3, 4, maybe 6 minutes, they're the Arctic Circle.
Were you bored when you sat down?
No.
Are you sure?
I was, no.
There was
Everything-
There was as many new locales as there was in the Aquaman sequel that we saw just a few months
Star
ago.
Wars.
Yes.
Yeah, where it was like every 5 minutes,
Rogue One, yeah.
you're in a completely different place,
Yes.
and then they have to explain it to you.
Right, and they explained it. So here's the deal. I was so apathetic to this movie. If it's an action movie, I should have been more in Bradford's camp. I should have been more like, yeah, okay, well, the story, it's kind of weak sauce, but man, those fights were great. No, this is a straight-to-video quality movie. It's
Lousy
just
fights.
so bad. But the humans, while the exposition's not their fault, their performances were good. I could not believe it. I actually fought back tears when the daughter said, no, we belong together at the end. I thought that was tremendous. So it does buoy it a little bit because the humans actually did bring some good performances. It's better than Madam Web, 3.5.
Jim, you go next.
All right, I will not score this movie. But my 16-year-old self saw it. It was so cool. I give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Wait, no, really?
Wow.
But my age,
Oh, okay.
Jim Chandler now, I'm not giving out a score.
Oh, come on!
No, you're going to have to take me at 16 because that's who it was aimed for.
Whoa. All right.
Millennials, not Gen Alpha.
I did.
I'm going to have to work with you.
Side
so
note,
much.
I actually did walk out of the theater thinking, I bet my younger self would have freaking loved this movie. I did actually think that. I had no idea, of course, you were going to have that tact, but that is kind of fun.
Okay.
So we had that in common. So
Let's go to the big 16-year-old. Bradford, what'd you think?
how'd you love it?
So, did I roll my eyes a few times watching this? Absolutely, I did. Because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
It's a big, dumb, fun kaiju movie. That's all it's supposed to be for me. Did I laugh when he put on the Hulkbuster fist? Yes. Yes, I laughed because it's funny and other people are laughing at it. It's not supposed to be taken overly seriously. It's supposed to be kooky and goofy and go figure, we've had a couple movies in a row now where it's supposed to be like dumb fun, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Credit Brian Tyree Henry's character.
Yeah.
He's great.
Dumb fun in this, and that's okay. We're not to the point of the year yet where we're going to get good cinema overall. We've had some fun movies.
Had a couple good ones.
But we're not getting peak cinema. We're getting close to summer movie season where it's popcorn, blockbuster, make a lot of money, whether you like it or not. They're accomplishing their goal, which is to entertain and bring people to the movies.
Right.
This one overall will accomplish that. And I do think it depends on the format you see it in because, again, so many times when you see a big movie, I'm not saying it makes it a better movie. I'm saying seeing it in Dolby, I think, did enhance my experience from seeing it in a regular theater because it is meant to have full bass sounds, rumbling with the fights and everything like that. It definitely increased my experience. If you see it in a regular theater, you're not going to have that same thing. So whether it's an IMAX or Dolby, it's going to increase your experience.
That's what I heard.
I saw it in 3D.
Oh, really?
That just sounds like it's going to be vomit-inducing. The movie had its issues, and it's not perfect at all. There's not much plot. Again, I'm okay with that. I had fun, but it still only gets a 6.5 from me.
Okay. Well, fair enough. That was the most vociferous defense of a 6.5
I know! That's what I'm
I've
trying
ever
to
heard.
say. You're making me have to stand up for a 6.5.
I stood up for Plane. I gave it a 5. Remember that?
Oh, trust me, I remember you standing up for that bull crap.
All right, it's time to stop bickering about this and find a new thing to discuss and yell at each other at. It's the big question. I want to know, what is the movie that you love, but it seems like the rest of the world just passed it by? You mention it to people and they're like, I never saw that, or I never heard of that, or I don't know about that, but I didn't watch it. What is that movie to you that you think the world should not miss? Let's start with Justin Bradford.
So I'm not sure if this is the world missed it, but I think it still deserves more love and talk about more in pop culture and science fiction and everything of that sort. And that is The Fifth Element.
Oh, well, that's a cult classic there, yeah.
It is, and I think it does have its tremendous fan base, but it doesn't get put in the ranks with so many other great science fiction movies. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think enough people talk about it.
They put it in a different category.
In a different category.
Yeah.
But this right here, in terms of the imagination behind it, the execution behind it as well, the comedy, and there's so many elements within this that make it kind of eerie as well. It's great storytelling. Bruce Willis is fun, and Mila Jovovich is fun. Chris Tucker is incredibly annoying and fantastic.
Perfect for that's what it was called for, yeah.
I really love it, and I still think back, and I appreciate Fifth Element more now than I did back in the late 90s when I was only a teenager when it came out. I think I appreciate the film way more as an adult because you start picking up on the little cues of so many different things in the story as an adult that you appreciate it. So I feel like, while it got plenty of its due and people still talk about it, I still feel like it deserves to be talked about in the elite of science fiction.
Yeah, and Bruce Willis, kind of at the top of his game, right? If he's not in that movie, I don't think it works.
Great delivery of dry humor.
Yeah.
Dry lines make it absolutely hilarious.
Exactly. He's the glue.
Corbin Dallas.
All right. So that's the movie that the world should pay a little more attention to.
A little bit.
Okay. All right. What about you, Gover?
iRobot.
Fun movie.
I remember walking into the theater being like, this is going to be a gong show. And the CGI for the time, even today, honestly, because of the light surroundings, but to the time especially, it was mind-blowingly realistic. Like, they really did program a robot, Sonny, to sit there and be interrogated and run through the streets. And it was so good. And Will Smith is excellent in it. But it's just, I think it got overlooked by most because, one, it's another Will Smith Saves the World type of plot.
Sure.
And if you remember back then, it was Wild Wild West and Independence Day, on and on and on. He always had the same kind of, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was Will Smith fatigue to a degree as a leading man. And so I think iRobot gets overlooked, and I highly recommend it. If you're bored on a Monday or Tuesday night and you're looking for something to watch, iRobot is tremendous.
Some great action scenes in that movie.
And a philosophical dilemma that you have to answer as an audience member, which, again, is more to the story, not just a robot fight.
So you liked it because it had a story.
I did.
Is that what you're saying?
I thought it was not only had a story, Jim, but it had a philosophical debate that the audience had to ask themselves, because it was so dystopian in the sense that this could happen in my lifetime.
And
How would I react?
there are people now that say we're 5 years from that point.
Right. So
with
iRobot.
generative
Boy, you
AI.
just love to yap. I'm just glad you didn't say Eon Flux.
No. Did not say it.
I find it difficult to actually speak those words. Just the clustering of vowels just throws me off. So I'm just going to say that, the one with the eyebrows and the fly. Did that little scene with the close-up.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's fine. The movie I would like to share with the world that I think it just kind of missed everybody is the movie Yesterday, starring Himesh Patel, who is a floundering musician on the verge of giving up his dream of being a, music star. And all of a sudden, boom, overnight, the world has never heard of the Beatles, but he remembers them. So he starts playing their music and becoming wildly popular around the world. All this time managed by the one person who actually truly loves him, whether he's using Beatles music or anything, just loves him. His manager, Ellie, played by the lovely Lily James, she just thinks he's the best no matter what. And, he has to live this lie of using other people's music and making himself a star in it. There's so many cameos in this movie, and those cameos are fantastic. Kate McKinnon as an evil record executive is one of the most underrated characters that I've seen in years. This movie is super sweet. You come away happy, feeling good, and like you really saw a story well told.
That's a strong choice.
Thank you.
But what is your choice? What do you think is the most overlooked movie? What movie passed the world by but that you really love? Hit us up on all the socials.
You're too smart. You saw it. We missed it.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.